My son Ollie has always been fascinated by snakes. God knows why. I blame his first sitter, a girl named Kenzie. She had a couple of ball pythons as pets, and sometimes she would feed them mice when he was over at her house. His eyes would sparkle wide with glee as the snakes slithered around their cages. As soon as he was old enough to understand asking for gifts and toys, we took him to a zoo. He immediately wanted to run to the reptile area to check out their snakes. I did what any good parent would do. I smiled and I laughed as he pointed and shouted excitedly at the cobras and the pythons, secretly wishing to myself that he would grow out of this phase. My wife Chelsea was the one who made me realize that was faulty reasoning on my part. There's nothing wrong with him liking snakes the same way there isn't anything bad about your love of hunting. Just because we have different interests doesn't mean it's wrong, she chided me when I told her the things creeped me out. I knew she was right. I felt a bit silly for telling myself that I wouldn't let him follow his passion. Over the next year, I decided to embrace it. And of course, I started gradually. I bought him a stuffed rattler from Books A Million. He named that Rosie. Took the thing everywhere for the next 5 months, playing with it, sleeping with it. It was sometimes a battle to wash it. I told myself on his birthday that I was going to get him a live one. A small ball python of his own. But circumstances interfered. He was at school the day before his party, and he slipped and fell off the monkey bars. I got the call at work. We recommend that you take Ollie to see his regular physician, the school nurse told me over the phone. It was just a scrape. What's the big deal? I asked. Well, when he fell, he lost some of his skin on his palms of his hands. It peeled right off from the hot metal. The wounds look pretty bad, the nurse told me. I left work early and took him to the pediatrician, watching and pacing as they bandaged my baby up. When we got home, I gave Chelsea a full report. Doctor says it will heal up just fine. Just ointment on it twice a day. Keep it bandaged, I told her. But something about the whole experience bothered me. I was surprised at how well Ollie was handling it. He acted like it didn't hurt at all, I said nervously. I think he's in shock, my wife admitted. I confided in her because of the scare. I didn't have the time to run to the pet store to get the snake. She kissed me on the cheek, said that she would the first thing in the morning. This is important to him. We will make it work. The next day, as promised, she ran to PetSmart and checked to see what they had. She FaceTimed me and showed me the store's collection of king snakes, and even a constrictor. We're definitely not getting him that, I chuckled. And she showed me this petite corn snake, and I knew that it was the right one. I mean, I wasn't scared of it in the slightest. In fact, there was something calming about watching it. She bought it. We tag-teamed that morning as I headed to grab Ollie's prescription. His party wasn't exactly top tier. It was 2020, so what could you expect? But after Ollie ate his cake, and his friends said hello to him via Zoom, I unveiled the snake. He was speechless. Then he squealed with delight. He hugged my neck so hard I thought he might never let go. So what are you going to name him? I asked. He thought as hard as I think any 6-year-old could. Sam, he said excitedly, as he asked about what to feed it, how to give it proper enclosure, and so much more. He was definitely on cloud 9. That summer was a real treat despite the lockdown. We spent each day learning about snakes together, how they worked, fed, slept. What he was most interested in was when Sam shed his skin. And one day we noticed that Sam had hidden in the corner of his tank more than usual. Some parts of his skin were darkening. Then I saw that he had some discoloration over the eyes, and it made me worry. See, I'm not a snake expert, so I naturally called the store, thinking the slinky creature was about to die. It's just a natural process. They do it every month. This is likely your first shedding, as they're old enough. Snakes aren't like humans. We shed thousands of skin cells at a time, but for snakes, when they grow, their skin does not. So it's like it's getting a brand new start, the customer service rep told me. I explained it as best I could to Ollie so he wouldn't be worried. Sam's just growing up big and strong, so he can fight off anybody that messes with him, I told him. We monitored him for the next week and saw him gradually push out of his dead skin, leaving the husk in the corner where he hid away. I told Ollie to keep it as a souvenir, and he excitedly wanted to show a Zoom class the next day. School was just starting back virtually by then, and he hadn't seen any of his friends in ages. Sure, why not? I said with a smile. I expected most of the kids to be fascinated by it. But their reaction was actually the exact opposite. Ew, what is that? That's disgusting. You're a freak. I quickly shut off the cameras and looked toward Ollie. He was frozen in shock. Then he ran to his room to cry. I apologized to his teacher, who honestly didn't seem to understand what the big deal was, and then went to my son's room to comfort him. My wife came in as well to see what was up. Kids can be mean sometimes, she told him, stroking his hair. He tossed the shed skin into the trash angrily, not saying a word. Ollie, calm down, I said. He reacted with an even worse tantrum, pushing me away and then tumbling over the edge of his bed. It all happened so quickly, I was paralyzed by fear as his head hit the bed frame. Oh my God! My wife screamed, rushing to his side. He looked like he was in a daze. We helped him up and I called the doctor immediately. I'm fine, I'm not even hurting, Ollie insisted. His blood trickled down his head. He must be in shock again, my wife reasoned. I wasn't so sure, and despite the lockdown, I wanted to get him a full checkup. The next few hours felt like torture. Ollie bruised but not crying. The injury looked bad, and the doctor did say he would need stitches. He also asked to do a little blood work in labs. Ollie was distant. Definitely a side effect of the fall. It all was a whirlwind of activity, and when I got home, I just wanted to lay down. I told Ollie I would check on him later and figured that he would lay down too, and honestly, I was just rattled from the whole experience. When I woke, I felt like the weight of what had just happened was starting to lift. I went to check on Ollie. But he wasn't in his room. I tried the living room next, called out to him. No response. Ollie, answer me now, I said, a bit worried. I didn't want to panic yet. I'm in the bathroom, he shouted. I sighed, glad that he hadn't gone off to do something impulsive. His experience with his class clearly made him upset. I sat down and checked my phone, noticing the doctor had called. Then my stomach rumbled. When I got up, wiggled the bathroom handle. Well, hurry up, I told him. I didn't get a response. Ollie? You hear me? Yeah, Dad. I'll be out in a minute, he responded. He sounded frightened. Ollie, is everything okay in there? I asked. Again, silence. Son, answer me, I demanded. Just leave me alone, he shouted. I sighed, glanced at my phone, and then noticed the hallway closet was open. I started to listen to the voicemail on the phone as I opened it to see what he took into the bathroom. Mr. Johann, this is Dr. Pritchett calling about Ollie's labs. I didn't want to bother you until I could confirm the results. Pause in the voicemail as I pushed a few knickknacks away and saw one of my hunting boxes was open. My heart dropped. I slammed on the bathroom door as the voicemail kept playing. It seems that Ollie has a rare genetic anomaly. I won't get into the specifics, but it manifests itself when the patient has the inability to feel pain. Ollie, open the door right now, I shouted. I grabbed a crowbar from my toolbox. It is fortunate that we caught it at an early age. This way we can protect him from hurting himself unnecessarily. The voicemail ended as the door unhinged. I saw him standing there. Blood trickling down his face and arm. The blade against his left arm as his hands shook. His skin was peeled away like a potato all over his arm and across his right cheek as he continued to slice without even flinching. Fillets of muscles scattered on the floor like discarded paper. His body was shaking, reacting to the onslaught that he couldn't feel. As he turned to me and dropped the knife in surprise. It doesn't hurt, Dad. It doesn't hurt, he mumbled, as I grabbed the knife up. Why would you do something like this? I screamed between tears as I fumbled to call 911. He was faint, the loss of blood finally rushing to his vital organs as he sobbed against me, not from pain, but worried that he was in trouble. I wanted to shed like Sam and get big and strong. I finally dialed as I wiped away more tears. Then I rushed him to the ambulance and straight to surgery. It took nearly 6 hours for them to place multiple skin grafts on his wounded flesh. The doctor said that it would take nearly 2 weeks for it to heal. With just eventually mesh with the old muscle and tissue? I asked, still shaking from what I had seen. As long as you keep him from any other injuries, then I think it should heal just fine. The extra skin will just shed away, he said with a smirk, and added one thing that made my stomach twist into a knot, flashing images of his scarred flesh into my mind. Just tell him it'll be like how his snake does it. Good evening, kids. It's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I wanted to tell you thank you so much for watching tonight's video. I wanted to give a quick second also before we end tonight to let you know about twitch.tv/MrCreepyPasta. It's my Twitch channel. Sometimes I play video games there, but for the most part, I record stories for the channel live, and I hang out and we play this little thing called Stream Raiders. So if you guys would like to go over there and give me a follow or whatever, I'd appreciate it. Then we can hang out sometimes and talk and do what it is that we Twitch people do. And of course, I want to give a very, very, very big shout out to all of my followers on Patreon, especially Bloodlace, Peter Bowie, AcidSystem, F, Alan Hyper, Brennan Matthews, Mary Massacre, Janine Hook, Paul Livingston, Seth Joseph Richards, Ashlyn, Deadeye Nick, Azad, Hosenbokus, Rick Dance, Bryce Charles, Luminen Walker, Sheri Morgan, Jake Mcnee, Victoria Helton, BDH9294, Melinda S, Phinney, Nathan, Dante Rowe, Jane Rennalls, acebandg, Ryan Kellum, Bobby J. CAVANAUGH, Barbara Biggs, BellaBailey, Ninja Grace, Dad Obsessed Trash, Suzanne Grow, Tommy Walters, Tater Chip, Onbu Op Willie, Sarah Gree, Yuri Catslash, Randy, Brad Gustafson, Sean Tristan Markham, B. Lisa Tyser, Jose Rodriguez, Adagio Rose, Peaceful Buddha, Azarine Fox, Freddy Krueger, Ho Gunkchi, Justin Johnson, King Hades F13, Michael Scarborough, James Lowe, Someone You Love, Nina Smith, Rafael Rodriguez, and Chance Burnett. You guys, as always, are the real MVP, and I can't thank you enough for helping me get to where I am now and, generally keeping me alive. So thank you all so much for supporting on Patreon. Thank you everybody in the description for supporting on Patreon. And thank you everybody out there who's listening and watching somewhere across the many reaches of the internet. Have a good night and sweet dreams.